What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fire, Eric Sheets-Haber. We're going to be talking through this NBA monster slate. Monster slate, big time of the year, big old tournaments tonight. It's going to be wild. We know that there's going to be craziness. So we're going to have to just try and find a way to pick our way through. Fortunately, SaberSim, I tried a couple times testing it out where, I'm playing some of my smaller tournaments or whatever, just using the SaberSim and letting it roll and then trying to do my things for the bigger ones. And actually the SaberSim stuff has been pretty solid. So I wanted to shout out that. I did want to also, before we get into everything about yesterday, I did not have a good day yesterday overall. I had a nice few wins before that, so I was hoping to keep the momentum going, but it's not it wasn't so. And I did want to mention, I talk about this on a lot of things, but we did partner with PayDirt DFS in addition to our partnership with SaberSim. We have some incredible tools. We've also just added a bunch more. And I would love any feedback on those from any site members, but also I would love for you guys to check it out. We have got our trials out there, so you can feel free to try that out. But I think we really have a unique offering that's very different than a lot of the rest of the DFS industry at the moment. So I hope you guys would have a chance to take a look. And obviously, it's been working out pretty well so far this year for the site members and for us as well. So with that said, yeah, not a great night for me. Sheets, how did you do? And then we'll get into the slate.
A couple of more announcements again. I did not do that well. I didn't do well yesterday. But just announcements. Okay, first of all, baseball's right around the corner. That's a week away.
Around the corner, my team's already 2-0. Let's go.
That's how good the Dodgers are. They could be in first place without anybody even playing.
They don't even need to. Yeah, right.
I mean, so I also just did a March Madness Survivor Pool video with Brave Jayhawk. That is the ultimate brain fry. Okay, I challenge anybody to play that. It is the hardest Survivor Pool there is. Second of all, I'm going to be away this weekend in Scottsdale for the NBA Live Final.
Go.
I'll try to post what I can from there. I still don't even have the slate. In addition to that, I did put up already an MMA video, I believe, for UFC London. That went up today. I don't know if I'll be able to do a follow-up. There's going to be NASCAR stuff this weekend probably. And then there's, between basketball and baseball and hockey, there's all kinds of stuff. So we're trying our best to fill the content with enough that people can get what they want. So we're trying to add people, we're trying to add tools, we're trying to do everything because it's impossible for us to do it ourselves, honestly. So that's why we're doing all this additional stuff. And that's pretty much all I have. Now, again, with the NBA tonight, unfortunately, it's just a big joke every day. I mean, you know what I mean? Like at noon, we talk about stuff. We have no idea what's going on. At 6:30, we come on. We have like 2% chance of what's going on, and then it is. So this is they're actually giving $250,000 away for first in like the 888 tonight. Yep. You deserve like $4 million if you win this contest. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we'll get to it in a second, but I just ran Sims, and literally the top 4 owned guys, if you ask me who these guys were at the beginning of the season, I would not have any idea who they are. So we'll get to that, I suppose. You want to share your screen? You want?
Yeah, sure, I could. Let me just do it in a way so I don't. I guess I'll just share the. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying because I do a lot of editing on mine, but it doesn't really matter this time of the day what the hell I'm getting. So right. I'll show. I'm trying to keep the premium stuff premium more so now that we've
just even have the games up. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean,
no, but I've already got my exposures and all that stuff, so it would take me like a while to get.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't matter because it's like I said, there's not going to be this at the end of the day. I don't mind sharing what we're doing now.
Right.
I do want to be as transparent as possible with the people, but I've been saying like just in fairness to our members that I like to try, especially before lock, I like to try and go in there so I can just go through exactly what I'm doing and talk through everybody with just the site members, because I feel like otherwise we're giving away a little bit of it for free. But that's the only thing that I was concerned with. All right. Let's go, Sheets. Any overall thoughts, or do we you want to just start the game by game here?
We can start game by game. I mean, a lot of value is going to be coming from Washington. We'll get there later, I guess. Right off the bat, Dallas and Indiana. I ran my projections. I ran my sims. I ran everything. And if the slate ended now or started now, I would have very, very little from this game. I would currently have about 4% Tyrese Halliburton, and after that, like no one that much. So this game is looking like sort of a fade for me.
Yeah, it's so early with the 3 questionables and only 11 available bodies. That means that if those 3 questionables are out, we might be playing all of Dallas later on today, along with Washington, and it might be better than Washington, even for that matter. So that may be to come, but as of right now, I think you could certainly I just wish I had a feeling of what they would even do with PJ Washington. It's like Dallas is in that weird tank-ish mode, but not exactly tank. It's hard to know what the hell's going on over there. So as of right now, I'm sort of in the same place as you. I'm not really all that excited about anything in this one. No issue. If Halliburton's out again, obviously we have a different conversation. If Siakam's out again, we have a different conversation. And based on the fact that this is only 10.5-point spread with the lineup that Dallas is rolling out there, you might see one of these guys sitting. So as of right now, nothing. Certainly something to look out for later today.
Houston, Orlando, like a 2-cent total. Everybody seems healthy. I'm running like 63 total lineups. I have one lineup with Paolo Banchero in it, and that's literally it for this game for me.
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested in some of the Houston. To what extent, I don't know that I can actually play them on this slate, but I feel like it's a decent, Van Vliet's cheap enough. I don't mind taking a shot, although I'm just wondering if they're going to put his minutes back up there. What do we have him? Yeah, we have a 35 minutes. I think he might be a play that's way off the board. I think Tari Eason would be another one I would consider, as well as Jabari Smith, but it's just probably the wrong slate for it, to be honest with you. I agree that Paolo's probably the most desirable piece on the other end. You could make a case that they might want to play, a center more of the time, and maybe Wendell Carter is actually reasonable. He's very reasonably priced, so he's one I could see getting to, and I could see getting to Franz, but mostly, honestly, probably a cross-off, which is kind of nice because we can then just skip the 7:00 games and move into the 7:30 games for the night.
That's true.
And look, we all know that when at 7:01 p.m. when we hear about all the later stuff, that it'll feel good if you didn't have anything in that first game at that moment. All right.
7:30 game doesn't look particularly appealing either.
No, I'm saying just for the later games. So maybe 8 o'clocks, yeah.
So we'll get there. But 7:30, Detroit, Miami. Jaquez, he had a good game, I think his last game, whatever. I'm getting like 8% of him. I guess that's something. But same thing, just the regular guys, like 6% Cade Cunningham, 3% Bam Adebayo. These early games doesn't seem to be where the value is coming from.
Yeah, no issue with Asar Thompson's getting to that point where and look, the minutes they fluctuate. They've been on the lower end lately. It's a guy who piques my interest a little bit, but I'm probably not going to get there, to be honest. And Cade Cunningham is another one, probably not going to get there. Both centers, yeah, probably not going to get there. I actually like the Jaquez play. I think he's a very hard guy to project. And he did start the last game, but they lost by 30. But the game before where he didn't start, they also lost by like 30. So if he stays around these minutes, I think this is a very reasonable. I don't want to say he's like the premier value, but he is additional value that I'm certainly considering. And I might bump his projection up a little bit, but not overwhelmingly excited about everything. Detroit has been playing lightning quick there. I believe over the last 10 games, I believe that they are the second fastest. Yeah, they are. They're the second fastest team in the NBA in terms of pace. So it is a good spot, even though Detroit's a good team. So, it's a tough matchup, and not tough matchup, but it should be a close game. If Wiggins is out, I think we could consider Bam and Hero. But I think Jaquez is the most interesting as of right now. I do think that I might end up doing something with this game. So I've just got a little note to double check on Miami a little bit later. And I know Wiggins and Burks may not seem like a big deal, but it does open up extra minutes. And, you could always take on these slates where there's so much value. These are the kind where I don't mind taking a shot on a Jaquez or a Duncan Robinson, because they're going to be significantly lower owned than they would be on a slate where we didn't have so much other value. But overall, the strategy of waiting for the 8 o'clock games, probably a pretty good one at the moment. All right. What do we have? So then we have Philly and OKC. What do you have?
Now is where we get started here. Okay. So in this game, I am getting a ton of people. So I currently am getting 71% of Jared Butler. I'm currently getting 58% of Chet Holmgren. I'm currently getting 57% of A. Wiggins, whichever one is playing. I'm getting 52% of the best player in the NBA, Quentin Grimes. I'm getting 25% of Isaiah Hartenstein, 14% of Carson, or which one of the Wallace's brothers, I guess, and 11% of Kenrich Williams. So this is the first game with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I want to see how many guys they have. I'm just currently checking the NBA thing here. We've got them with. Let's see. Let me just double check this. I got the wrong spot. So 10 healthy bodies with the Yabusele questionable. This council projection is it's pretty high, but I don't think it's. I don't feel like these Philly guys are locked guys for me. I don't feel great about it. I think that the projections are pretty aggressive. They've been playing with less players than Butler hasn't been averaging 35. So I don't know why we'd all of a sudden project. He's gotten there a couple times, but I don't think that's his median. He's hit 35 one time, and they had 8 players in 3 of those games that they've been playing. So I think they're a little bit ambitious. But I do want to just look at this as a question and look, we have to start considering Quentin Grimes. I mean, he put up 76 fantasy points the other night, for Christ's sake. I mean, his actual real life points have been 46, 28, 29, 35, and 25. He had the one terrible game in between, and then he had 30 on the other side. So basically above 28, 25 real life points in that many games. I mean, doesn't feel great, but it's got to be in play, and it's got to be a better projection than this number. I mean, he's basically never coming up anywhere close to this number. So I want to wait to see what I want to do with Philly, because I honestly don't know what to do with them right now. And Butler at a higher price and Council, I think, are fine. I don't think that they're any sort of you need to play. I know that it says 91% Council on my first run. I guarantee you that's not going to be the case. And they gave me, of course, the 0 of the Jared Butler, basically. Anyway, it is what it is. I think Kenrich Williams, that would be a really bad play. I do have a strong take on that. I don't care if he starts, and it's not that he can't get there. I don't see why, with other value, we would be playing a guy who's 3,200, who has a projection of a number that he hasn't hit yet in the same exact situation. Doesn't mean he can't. Doesn't mean he can't get blowout run and get there. I am not going to prioritize any sort of Kenrich Williams. I would actually try to get away from that as chalk. I think he probably 5 to 7X's most of the time here. Is that good enough on this slate? I don't think it necessarily is. Now, if Wallace and Hartenstein are out, but they still have a million other guys too. I actually think Wallace is the best play on their side of it. Again, probably not gonna mess with any of the projections for him, but I do think. Well, I guess I would, because I like him better than Wiggins. But do I want to? I don't know. Actually, I like Wiggins too. So I'm still sort of up in the air with what I want to do here, because Wiggins, Joe, Wallace would all be more desirable to me than Kenrich. And I think Chet is a really good play, and whether Hartenstein plays or not, and if Hartenstein doesn't play, the only problem with Chet is they're probably going to limit his minutes. I'm going to guess they're going to keep him to a reasonably low number. That they don't need to win any games. They got him at 32. I thought maybe he'd be in the 28 range. If we really think he's going to play 32, then it goes. I guess for me, priority wise, it would go Wallace, Wiggins, Joe, Holmgren, Hartenstein right now, but we'll wait to see on Wallace and Hartenstein later. And we may at the end of the day be talking about guys like Dylan Jones, who aren't looking like much right now. But if Wallace or Hartenstein are out there, this is the, you don't usually get the OKC with no Shea and no Jalen Williams. So we haven't seen a whole lot of it. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. And yet they're still, 12 point favorites or whatever it is. So that's probably my toughest game. Is that last one? I can't decide what to do with it, but I don't have to for a while. So, all right, next up we have New York. Your Knicks are in San Antonio. And go ahead, Sheets.
Yeah, I'm getting a bunch of cat. With all the value on the slate, you could pay up for whatever you want here, and cat is a very, very nice projection. And I'm getting right now, which is irrelevant, but 35% of him. So I'm expecting to get a ton of him. I don't know. Everybody else in this game, I have very, very little interest in right now. Maybe like a 10% Devin Vassell. But aside from that, it just looks like cat at the center position.
Yeah, I think that the Knicks are interesting. I did want to, again, that you worry about a little bit of a blowout even in San Antonio, just because San Antonio is, they're probably good enough to keep it competitive enough. But I think all these guys are teams that I would want to bump up their projections on with the Knicks, because, we saw the massive game from Josh Hart with the triple-double the other night. And by the way, and that was in a blowout. If he only played 29 minutes, he still had the triple-double. And if you give him normal minutes, if the game stays close enough, I think that you could be looking at a monster score. So I do like Hart quite a bit. I do like Cat. I do like McBride. It's again, the last game don't use as a barometer for any of this stuff, because they did play less minutes. But I think that's the way I would rank. Well, maybe Bridges then McBride, but all four of those guys I'm extremely interested in. And they sort of let Mitchell Robinson go a little bit more, 23 minutes. If he plays over 20 minutes at 3,200, he's got to be at least in play. So the Knicks are a whole team that I am going to bump up as of right now. And it's a good matchup with San Antonio too. On the other side of it, I like the Castle play. I like Keldon Johnson, and then I like Vassell. All three of those guys I expect to be a little bit higher on. So the Knicks in San Antonio, probably the first game that we're on, I have this probably more interested in this game than I do in the Philadelphia OKC game at the moment. All right, New Orleans in Minnesota.
Not much for me. I have getting about 11% Anthony Edwards right now, and everybody else I have under 5. So I presume everybody's healthy. I'm not really getting anything.
Yeah, I think. Well, so I mean, there is no, there's really nothing extra. But okay, if you wanted just to take a shot on a guy just because he can get hot and put up a big number, it would be Jordan Hawkins to me.
Okay.
But I don't think that. I mean, again, you don't have to do anything here. But Hawkins, starting at 3,400, he's got a wide range of outcomes. But if he gets hot, you could end up on the right side of things. And I don't think he's going to have any ownership. So I think he's kind of interesting. I think Alvarado's kind of interesting, but probably. Again, these are more fringy plays to me. And then on Minnesota, it's a good matchup, but I don't really, even at 3,800, it's hard to pull that trigger on Conley with other value, but I do think it's a low enough price where we have to at least consider Conley. And then you've got, Randall and Edwards, I think, are both totally fine in a vacuum, but I keep saying not on this slate, but while not finding all that much I like, but we're about to get to it. So in a minute, I think this is a really good late night slate. So that's I guess my take.
Yeah. So with the Washington-Utah game, unfortunately, these projections are going to continue to change throughout the course of the day into the evening, I think.
Yeah.
Depending on who's starting and depending to who's whatever. Depending on where you go and what refreshes when. You could either have a big projection on let's talk about Washington for a second. Either it could be Colby Jones, or if you get the wrong, if you refresh a different time, you could have 100% AJ Johnson or Vucevic, or all of them, or Jalen Martin, just name them, Keyshawn George. Right now, for me, it's who cares? But right now, it's Vucevic and AJ Johnson and Jalen Martin. All right. Then on the Utah side, I guess I originally had, I don't know why I would possibly project Lauri Markkanen in, but I did. And I think he's out now, I guess. So who knows? Who knows who's going to play for Utah? Who knows who's going to start? But I do imagine that a ton of value is going to come from this game, and we just are not going to know what the integrity of these projections are until we get closer to game time.
Yeah, and I'll just say, it's only because Vucevic has been playing really well, and they've played him sometimes along with double bigs. he's played really well when he's played, and that's really why he's showing up. There is no logic to these projections in terms of like, I mean, let's just see what we have him at for. Let me go down on this. Oh yeah, they lowered his ownership. Okay, good. And they lowered his projection a little bit, which is good because it was ridiculous when I saw it this morning. I just did not understand why he'd be projected. I know he's been good, but at 22 minutes, you shouldn't be projecting with 30 fantasy points, unless you're, Jokic or something. So I actually think this is a little bit more suspect than maybe some others do. They've got plenty of guys. Sarr is there. Remember when Sarr was out, we still weren't getting Vucevic still wasn't getting there, backing up Holmes. Now Holmes is also still there, so he's backing up too. I don't really know. We're just giving everything to Vucevic because he's been good lately. Maybe that's good enough. I'm not sure if it's going to be too popular that I want to be doing that. The Colby Jones feels very speculative to me, and maybe they give him the minutes, maybe they don't. The ones I like better, I feel good about the AJ Johnson. That feels like I'm probably going to be in most of my lineups today. Jalen Martin, these feel fishy to me. These projections, I just got to say, like Jalen Martin did play the minutes in the last game, but again, there's a lot of guys there. It's not like Carrington's out. It's not like, you have Champagny who's been starting. You have Keyshawn George, and I know I'm going to get to a lot of Washington, but I don't think that we need to just go with these plays that are like the Colby Jones, Jalen Martin are speculative. I actually like Jalen Martin better than the Colby Jones for what it's worth. I like Sarr because he's always good. And by the way, these are the two worst teams in the NBA. So there's no real extra tanking motivation. They're both going to end up as the two worst. They're going to have the best odds for the lottery balls. It's not going to change much. I think they'd probably try to give an effort out there. If Keyshawn George is out, that'll change some things. But right now it's AJ Johnson, probably followed by, in terms of value, followed by Jalen Martin. And then for other ones I'm interested in, I would be Sarr, then Carrington for me. But just be aware, those projections, those minutes could easily spread out just because there's no Jordan Poole and all that. I don't think it's a lock that these guys are, outside of the AJ Johnson play. I don't feel like that value is like lock style. On the other side, I think that Filipowski's a very reasonable, and I like that he's got forward eligibility. And then we don't have the question marks like we usually do with Utah. Maybe they learned their lesson by getting fined. But if Cody Williams, probably a little bit thin for this slate, but you could certainly consider him at 3,600 starting. I'm not excited about it. He's basically been, putting up duds in the same exact spot for a while now. And how much are they going to really let Keontae George, Jordan Clarkson, what's his name? They did announce Markkanen out. Okay, well, that's probably something I should update. Yeah, there's probably something else to do here now, but I don't know what that is. Maybe Shibwe is the answer. I just can't figure out exactly what I want to do. That's going to be a tough one without a starting lineup too, because Utah's starting lineups have been all over the place. All right, Cleveland and Sacramento sheets on a back-to-back, and I'm going to just guess. I know we haven't even seen morning shoot around. There's not even Q marks on these guys. I'd be very surprised if Cleveland plays everybody tonight.
Why? Just because it's a back-to-back, you mean?
No motivation. They have nothing to play for. The only thing they're playing for is the getting 70 wins.
What are they? Are they the one seed?
Oh, by a million miles.
When does the season end?
They can't get to actually. Never mind. They can't get to 70. They have to win 14 in a row. They've actually lost. They have lost 2 in a row for what it's worth. Season ends in.
So there's only 14 games left. You're saying?
There's 14 games left for them.
And who do they play tomorrow?
They don't play tomorrow. They played last night.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'd be shocked if they don't.
Yeah,
but they did lose badly to the Clippers. That was one of my bets of the day. Was the Clippers?
I mean, it's possible they play guys and don't play them that much. I mean, it's possible.
That's just not what they do. But yeah, I don't think so. Nobody on the injury report. Maybe they're pissed off about losing. They'd won like a million games in a row. What did they won? 12, 14 in a row. They're like the only team ever to have like 3 stretches of 11 or more wins in a row in a season. And so to lose 2 in a row is certainly kind of eye-popping. Maybe for that reason alone, they play the guys. Go ahead, Cheats. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't have anybody this game.
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm going to later, but I don't. I mean, if somebody's out, I'm certainly going to be playing this game, and I just don't think I'm going to right now. And based on the spread, by the way, because I do think that on a back-to-back, they would be small favorites here no matter what. It does. Maybe they play people. I don't know. It's a weird spot. Yeah, I don't have much either. I would throw in the projection on Laravia looks reasonable. He's been over 20 in most of his games, but I just think there's other value that we talked about that while it might be suspect, it's like more likely to crush than these guys who are like, if they have a good game, they're going to get to 22 or something. All right. Moving over to Memphis in Portland. This is a big slate.
Yeah. 3% Desmond Bain. You know what I mean? This is what I'm getting when I have all these other values standing out. 3% Jaren Jackson Jr., 1% Kennard, nobody on Portland. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that the big news for me is whether or not Scottie Pippen Jr. plays.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If Scottie Pippen Jr. does play, I think we play Scottie Pippen Jr. And I think he's a very, very, very good play, like a priority level play. And if he's out, I think you're going to have other things you can swap to. I don't know what they are off the top of my head right now, but we'll get to them in a minute. This is a big. I mean, Memphis needs to win games. They're playing in Portland. Portland's actually been, they've been feistier this year than people thought they'd be. As of right now, Scottie Pippen Jr. and kind of interested in the college matchup guys, the Edey versus Klingon, the college rookies or whatever. Went back to back in the draft. I think that there's actually, I think they went, or maybe within a spot. I think Edey's a little bit interesting tonight. Without Ja, he's had some decent games. He put up 31 the other night. The usage is not like incredible, but he's so big and he's going up. It's not usually he's playing against these strong older men. Tonight he gets to go up against a guy he just came out of college with as well. I don't know, something about it kind of piques my interest a little bit. So I have a little note that maybe Edey's something funny to do a little bit later. And by the way, if you're using like a utility spot, I mean, you're probably going to have guys later in the slate. But him and Pippen are pretty similar price. So if you did play Pippen, I think Pippen's the better play. But if you wanted to switch off to Edey, you have a very nice 1v1 there, right there. On the Portland side, I think I could make a similar argument for Klingon to Edey. He's been really solid too. So I have a little bit of Klingon interest, and Avdia coming off of a down game is mildly interesting to me as well. So those are my main ones, but nothing all that exciting.
Okay, so because of all that we've been talking about, these different values that are already existing and those coming up, you could play Luka and Jokic probably together. At the very least, you could certainly play either of them. So both of them are showing up at like 30% each for me. And because of this value, I think you should probably can you play both of them together? I don't know. Probably.
Mm-hmm. I think you can. I think the priority is probably for me, Luka. The Lakers beat them badly earlier, and then almost beat them without LeBron and Luka. And yet I look at this game and it's in LA, and the Nuggets are favored by 2, which is kind of surprising. Which makes me think that these guys are going to play, at least for the most part. I would love to say, like, let's give Russell Westbrook a long shot play. I mean, his numbers have been incredible, even when he shoots the ball poorly. But that's also because we didn't have Jokic and Murray. So probably a little too thin for this slate to do the Westbrook thing. I think it's really mostly Jokic or Jamal Murray potentially. Braun is probably in the mix, but I think it's probably Jokic or Murray would be the guys on Denver. And then, it's hard to get away from Luka with no LeBron. He's coming off a game where he shot 5 for 20 and he still put up 62. Even recently without LeBron, all of his games, even when he's shooting, he's shooting 25% from the floor, he's still putting up 60 some odd fantasy points. I could argue his projection should almost be higher. So I do think that's very natural to play those two, and I certainly don't mind it. Austin Reeves, it might be a sticker shock to see him at 9K for some people. He's been every bit of that and then some. I think he's completely worth it without LeBron. His usage has still been incredible with Luka. They play great together. It should be a fast-paced game going against Denver. So I think Reeves is heavily in play as well. Really like that combination of making sure I have some, over the field probably on Reeves, over the field probably on Luka, and over the field probably on Jokic would be the way that I want to go. And they're all going to have some ownership except for Reeves. I think will be a little bit because of the sticker shock underowned.
Chicago Phoenix, last game of the day. I have 20% Durant, and it's kind of thematic. When you have value, high price guys are just going to show up. So I have no problem with that. I'm only getting like 4% of Booker, by the way. Does he not produce fantasy points anymore? I have him projected like a half a point less than Durant, and I'm getting like none of him. Is it because of positions and stuff? Probably
positions because the guard spot is more loaded. But just to throw something out there, they did just announce that they upgraded Jordan Poole and Marcus Smart to questionable, which means almost all of Washington goes away.
Oh, wow.
So that's actually like the reverse, if they play. So
who is it? Poole and who else?
Poole and Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart actually is getting run, huh?
Of course he gets run. He's probably the best player on their team.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know. I thought everybody wants to lose. Who knows?
They do, but they don't need to. That's the thing is that they've got some cushion, man. they could win a few. They can get there. The bottom two are going to get the odds. So these are the bottom two teams. So if there was time to let it happen, other than being at home, we'll see if they end up playing. But I am going to throw out that I thought the Washington stuff was a little bit suspect anyway, and it's going to become extremely suspect if those guys are available. Well, it just won't be there, I guess.
Hey, can I share my screen for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so our screen. So I just got an email. They don't have the actual slate out, but they tell me what games they're going to be for the live final. So it's going to be an 8-game slate. They don't include the 7 p.m. game. They're going to include the 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. games. 8 games, no late swap. And I already see this. So the Sixers against the Spurs, you're going to have all those Sixer guys. Right. You're going to have a 20-point spread, Hornets at Thunder.
Yep.
You're going to have Pelicans, T-Wolves, everybody healthy. You're going to have Rockets, Heat, which are probably everybody healthy. You have Pistons against Mavericks, everybody healthy. Then you have this Jazz situation at 9:30, an hour and a half after the slate locks. Okay? So you're going to have to decide whether to play Jazz or not.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? Against the Celtics, by the way. So they're going to be a 100-point underdog regardless of who they play.
And the Celtics are only going to play like 3 of their guys.
Right. But then at the end, you got some stuff. Like, I find it difficult to believe I'm not going to have Nuggets Blazers. You know what I mean? Like, all those same Blazers I like to play, and some Jokic. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to be obvious. And then we can have, and then the last game alongside the 10 o'clock. Listen, these guys are going to be whatever, but you can get a bubble rematch between Booker and Donovan Mitchell. That could be fun. I don't know.
That's true. But also wow, this is weird.
It's a tough. It's kind of an uneventful slate, sort of. But this Jazz thing is going to happen.
I think it's extremely eventful. I think my sneaky prediction is that it's going to be the Mavs guys.
Oh, you think they're are they going to be out? You think, or some of these guys?
They're basically done anyway. I mean, so I don't know who's going to be playing, but I got a feeling that the Mavs guys are going to end up showing up well that day.
Let's see if there's who's questionables or game time decisions.
Here, I'll look at it. I mean, just look at them right today. Let's see. They've got so let me grab them. Yeah, they're playing Indiana, so they've got. So yeah, you're gonna have to. You'll have the.
You have to figure out this Philly thing, though.
Yeah, then the Philly thing. Man, they need to do the tournaments like right after the All-Star break. That's my thing. It's so tricky. It's tilting. I mean, these things are worth a lot of money, and you could be in prime shape to win the thing, and then but you end up with a guy who just ends up sitting out.
I wonder if Lonzo going to be back for the Hornets?
You mean the Melo?
Sorry,
yeah. I think for that game they'll probably let him play, but I don't think that's it's not a very fun play. It's probably the toughest matchup in basketball.
Well, what I mean though is that if he's out, is it all this blah stuff again, and like
like the last night stuff.
All this blah stuff in a 30-point up blowout. By the way, it's going to be it's going to be a fun way. Maybe they'll activate Malachi Flynn. You know,
Wouldn't that be something? Malachi Flynn on the winner for the thing.
all the cheese.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
that'd be
something.
fun.
If they activate him and Lonzo is Lonzo and Lamelo's, I might just try it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just give it a shot. No, I'm just kidding.
No late swap, and everybody's gonna have to sweat either positively or negatively. Jokic, Durant, Booker,
Do you know
Mitchell.
what they should do though for that? They should make it at least so you can at least play the backup or something if somebody's out. Like it's so why can't we do that? I thought even for the PGA now obviously they announced beforehand, but a lot of us missed the Jason Day thing. He was still pretty highly owned last week, even though it was before, because none of us are awake that time of day.
No, I missed it.
But imagine if they filled all the Jason Day in with Danny Walker, who was his replacement. The guy ended up finishing T7 or whatever, T6.
That's pretty funny.
It's pretty wild at minimum. Like, I mean, that would have been awesome. All right, well, we're going to come back with a golf preview.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty much going to be it. Anything else, Sheets?
Nope. Just give me 5 minutes. 12:45. You want to do that?
Yeah. Let's do that. All right.